Welcome to Mornings with the Focus. We got Justin Walters here to return in just a second. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. Look, like we told you guys, at a weekend of preseason football. Also, this weekend at WNBA regular season came to an end, so the postseason begins this week. That's where we're going to start today. First foremost, want to just show some love to Sylvia Fowles for an unforgettable career. The Lynx lost yesterday, so they will not be in this year's postseason. Unfortunate for all of us, we don't get to watch Big Sil in the playoffs one more time. But I mean, a hell of a career. One of the things that was saddened was she talked about this year. She appreciated all the love she got for fans, but she didn't get all energy. Kind of wasn't kept for the full 14 years, which is absurd because she was dominant for that long. As for the postseason bracket, let me get this up on the screen for you all. The way WNBA Playoffs works now, first round is best of 3, second best of 5, finals best of 5. Yes, it was the last day for the regular season. Like I said, the Mystics wrapped up their regular season with a, I think, 93-80 win over Indiana. You can get over to FocusTV.com or just Focus TV social media handles. You'll be able to check out Mystics Outlook there. First round of the playoffs begins on Wednesday. We got the 1-8 matchup with the Aces hosting the Mercury. Keep in mind for Phoenix, there's no Skylar, who's had a great year, and no DT either. Also on Wednesday, we have the 2-7 matchup. Got the reigning champs, the Chicago Sky, hosting the New York Liberty, which credit to them for making the postseason. Once again, Thursday's games, we got the 4-5 matchup. Seattle is hosting Washington. Also on Thursday's the 3-6 matchup. You have Connecticut hosting Dallas, who's without Arike Ogunbowale. She's expected to be she got injured maybe a week ago, and she's expected to be out through the first round of the playoffs. So if Dallas is able to upset Connecticut, if they're able to pull that off, they might be seeing the return of their star guard, which I'm sure no one would be upset about on the Dallas side of things. As for Washington, look, it's going to be a fun matchup with Seattle. Those two teams match up pretty well. I think Seattle won the season series, which is why they had the tiebreaker and why they're hosting this series. These teams have some playoff history. In the past, Seattle sweeping them, I think, in 2018. However, both teams won a chip since then. Seattle won the chip in 2018. Washington ran through the league in 2019. But they get to lace them back up and go at it once again. And also reminding, it's Sue Bird's last year too. I think along with DT, but Sue will be playing in the playoffs, so we'll see how that goes. And for any more on that, we'll talk about that a little bit more this week on the Focus TV in terms of looking at matchup in depth. And then obviously we have Mystics Outlook following each and every one of those first round games. Again, first round's best of 3. So, we'll see how it goes. It's better than a few years back. Used to be the first round was a one-off, which wasn't fair to anybody because, that whole any given Sunday thing, anybody can win one day, and the series is there is no series. So we'll see how things go, but definitely looking forward to an exciting WNBA postseason. All right, I'm going to slide into the NFL. So, Justin, look, make it real simple. Week 1 of preseason. What did you take away from it? Where you want to start at? Where you want to go is all on you.
Well, for me as a Cowboy fan, I'll just start there.
Okay.
Just it's not so much the win and losing thing of preseason. It's the fact that their preseasons are usually really unproductive. For a team that has things they need to figure out, they never really seem to leave the preseason better than they went in or come out differently. So, knowing how you lost last year, you made some adjustments, whatever that may be. But then you came in and penalties was one of your biggest issues, and you came into this and I think it was like 19 penalties or some ridiculous number. It just kind of showed just the lack of discipline as a roster, as a unit, and then just struggling offensive line, which was supposed to be their focus going into offseason. Offensive line was terrible. The quarterback play is what sucks with topic we'll probably get into another time is seeing the teams that actually have bench guys that are productive. Like maybe they're not great quarterbacks, but their backup guys can run an offense. which allows you to see your receivers, allows you to see your running backs, allows you to see your line, in the right situation. But when you have quarterbacks that are barely NFL level, it just doesn't affect the fact that you have bad quarterback play. Now you can't see your third round wide receiver. You can't see your sixth. Like, they're not getting a fair shot because this guy's just underwater. This guy can't even do his job. And I think you watch teams like the Ravens, how the reasons why they win on preseason games, it's not so much because of Lamar, because Lamar ain't playing. It's the second, third unit. It's just being able to allow the athletes to be athletes. And I think you don't see that from so many of these teams and, the better coach teams and things like that. I think that's why a team like Dallas is always going to struggle in the preseason, and it catches up with them in the regular season because of the lack of depth, because you haven't developed backups and things like that. But it was frustrating to watch. Nashawn Wright got picked on. Kelvin Joseph gave up a touchdown as well, but it was a crossing route against a bigger receiver. I would have got it, but just to see a team like Dallas is, they're in trouble right now. They're in a weird spot. We weren't able to see much from the backup receivers, whether it was Tolbert or I think Simi Fogle for a touchdown, but that was late for it. Just to watch them struggle so much against Denver. Baron Browning was Ed from Denver. He was unblockable, along with Nick Benito. So they could really be dangerous having four deep. Adding that to Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory. The Denver Broncos could be, could have a dangerous pass rush where they can rotate, especially if they can get you to third down. So I mean, that's a team to watch, along with what they have with their pain. Well, Josh Johnson was their backup quarterback. I think he played the whole game, and that's one of the guys we're talking about. That he's just a mature guy, mature quarterback. He ran the offense and got the ball in playmakers' hands, and you were able to actually see those guys, which that's what you want from those guys. I don't know any other games. The Jaguars, again, I wasn't impressed with Travis Etienne. Watched him drop the easy pass when he's supposed to be a receiver. Again, he looks small too. I just see him as more of a space player, and they're trying to make him into this all-world running back, which I don't really see. And even in space, I don't really see it. But I mean, I get it more if you're saying you're going to use him that way. And I just don't see that player there's being sold. Lawrence made a couple big throws early in the game, but again, still looked like he was locking on the receivers, but it's preseason, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Browns, Greedy Williams played well. Browns have a ton of talent, and I mean, I don't know what you could expect from Watson. I mean, he ain't played football in a year and change, so I don't think all of a sudden he's now terrible. So when he ends up playing, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. If he's anything close to what he was, because that's just a deep, talented roster. MJ Emerson made a pick six, made a really nice play. And I think if they could find a role for him, along with, I think it's him and Greedy probably competing for that third spot next to Newsom and Ward, which they're deep at safety, Delpit's back. So I mean, they have a chance to be a really dangerous team. And I mean, even without him, I think they can just hold the fort. But again, at some point, you're going to need that quarterback to be able to make big plays. That's what they're missing. Was it Jets Eagles? Was that? Oh, that was Friday. Yeah, Jets Eagles. Zach Wilson, sucked to see him go down. Hopefully he'll be all right. Again, adding in any type of solid quarterback play to that roster, they could still be, because we don't really know what Zach Wilson is. So, I mean, if you added a guy who's just serviceable, they could be okay, because the talent there, it is a talented roster. They added a lot of players. So, again, having a veteran, like, I don't know who that would be. I don't know if Flacco was going to play or Mike White. That's not the veteran I'm talking about. But if you could add someone who can just run the offense, which obviously there is a guy if they want to pay that money or trade the assets. But again, adding a serviceable quarterback into that lineup, and they're a solid team. It's a solid team if they can do that. Eagles, Hurts had a good drive. It was good to see him. All the talk about what he was and wasn't doing. He moved the ball down the field and didn't even go to A.J. Brown on that drive. So it's good to see them work. Cardinals, Bengals. Cardinals, not many of the big name Cardinals guys played. I think the starting quarterback was I forgot his name, McSorley. But again, just to see the Cardinals put up some points, and they're usually good in the preseason because I guess that's where all that spread stuff works. The Bengals, again, it was good to see Dax Hill. He made a couple plays. Hopefully that doesn't take them away from Peyton Bates. or at least having Bates finish the play this season, because using both of them is a lot more dangerous. They could do a lot more things defensively if they had Bates and Daxhill. But Daxhill definitely showed he could cover, he could play that free safety position with no problem. So that was a plus for them. Packers, 49ers have a loaded roster. They're like one of those teams where even some of the backup guys are fun to watch, and they just play a certain style, which that's what you're talking about, the good teams and the bad teams. They show up to play, it's just going to be a game, whereas some of these teams, you just see everybody with their hats on, and it's just the way the teams run, and that's why some of those teams struggle. It's good to see Danny Gray make a big play. TD. Good to see
CDP.
DDP. I'm sorry.
It's all
It's
good.
good to see him. Good to see him out there. Getting involved. Again, that running back thing. I think that's just going to be a thing to watch. And preseason isn't even going to really matter. It might be a way for someone to eliminate themselves more so than someone to take a job for them. Packers. It's good to see Love out there. Just threw a couple interceptions, and I don't think they were all his fault. But he just needs to play.
Yeah.
If Rodgers ain't going to play, let him play all 3 games, and it is what it is.
He's one of those guys where not to cut you off or jump in, but it's like he's another one of those guys where he needs all the reps as possible because he doesn't get them. Like, he needs them, and to be honest, they need to know what they have. Because it's what, like, I get it. He's sitting there and watching all that, but like that whole sitting there and watching thing goes 2 ways. It's not an automatic recipe that everyone who sits and watches is great. No, sometimes it just delays the fact. It delays it until you find out that they're not what you thought, or they're not what they're not what you thought you drafted or whatever. And I'm not saying that that's the case for Jordan Love. I'm just saying it's saying that the point you made about the same point about Zach Wilson applies for Jordan Love. They fully don't know because yeah, you can have him in the building every day. Yeah, he could be going through practices. Yes, you can have him in simulators. Nothing is like live reps. Because all that stuff that you do well in controlled environments can go out the window during actual live reps. And then some of the stuff you struggle with behind the scenes, you're fine with. Like, maybe the adrenaline of the game helps smooth out some of those things. I don't know. But we don't know until you actually play. So like you said, I didn't even care about I think it was 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I didn't really care about that. Just he needs to play. Like, he legit just needs to play. I was encouraged with Quay Walker was fun to watch for Green Bay. You can see why they did it because there's been like a gap between the front of their defense, the middle, and the back end. Now maybe they finally have all like pairing. Who's the other line? Is Devondre Campbell the linebacker? So you got Devondre Campbell now paired with Quay Walker. So many different ways you can utilize Quay, right? I think that's great for them defensively. Like, I thought we watched 2 teams with a bunch of depth on the defensive side of the ball just go at it, right? Watch a couple young quarterbacks get some reps, and I thought Trey looked more comfortable. And this is again goes back to the Jordan Love thing. Jordan Love's been there longer than him. However, I feel like Trey's had more live reps. Because even last year off the the redshirt year, he had 2 starts and played a half of the game, came in when Jimmy got hurt. There's no substitute for that. Like, that stuff helps, and it helps. Like, now those became reference points. So now you go to preseason and it's live again, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, you already did some stuff here, like, accidentally already. It's fine. The Packers need to get there with Jordan Love. Just get out there. Like, even with the Jets. However many snaps you had Zach Wilson out there last year, it helps towards figuring that out. It goes in the equation, and it has more weight than being behind the scenes, holding a clipboard, studying, etc. So, I'm off my little soapbox about QB reps.
No, that makes a ton of sense. Like I said, with guys like Love, you get one chance to figure out if he's the guy. Whereas unfortunately, guys like even though the Tua situation isn't the greatest, he's had a couple coordinators who've been in the league, and just when it all clicks, it's just going to click. Whereas with Love, if it clicks, it's still, we haven't even decided to run his offense yet. We haven't installed play for him because, in practice at any point, if Rodgers wants to rep, it's Rodgers rep. or maybe you get some Fridays because you got an older quarterback, but they're not really working on you to play. They're getting you ready. They're just working with you. You're just this is the game plan, learn it, but it's not set for you. It's set for the other guy, and the other guy's Hall of Famer. So it's a tough thing because we're talking about Herbert, Burrow, and Tua's contracts if they're going to get picked up. Jalen Hurts if they're going to get their 5th years picked up. Love's there too. Like at the end of the season, he's going to be right there. They're going to be making that decision, knowing how much more than they did when they drafted him. And again, knowing that the other guy's not going nowhere, suppose says at least he has another 2 years. You could have this whole contract be up, and you haven't even seen. You don't even have a. What do you want to do? Do you pick up that option? And you have to pick up the option. You pick up the option, but knowing he's not going to play. And then if they do play, did you make a mistake? It sounds like they told Rodgers he can stay as long as he wants anyway. So I think that's where it's a little funny. And you haven't worked up any trade value
because he has to play. You have to play to do that, and that's where that whole that's why it's such a conundrum there, because he needs to get better, but he needs to play to do that. But at the same time, we're not taking Aaron Rodgers off the field in actual football so you can get those reps. That is not happening at all. And if you come in at the end of a game, they're not about to let you throw. The game's over. If you're in, the game's over. Again, not being mean, but that's the tough part. So it's almost like, and I guess this would be an interesting thing. Do LaFleur and company really are they all the way in with the kid, and we'll find out where it's worth the wait? You know what I'm saying? He's almost getting the Aaron treatment, really, honestly.
Right. That's the thing was even when Aaron was there, by the end of the Favre time, there were still people that couldn't wait to see Rodgers play. But I haven't really heard, or just how they were, obviously a little different. But how they were talking about Mahomes in practices, the teammates couldn't wait to see him play because what he was doing in practice. I haven't really heard any of that with Love, so that's a huge difference. Again, Mahomes got that one start, but before that, you could kind of hear supposedly the practices they were buzzing about what he was doing in the practice squad or just as the backup. Now, in the game with Aaron, people were talking about how big the improvements were, and I guess he got a couple starts, got a couple spot starts here and there, but they couldn't wait for him to play. And I don't really get that feeling with Love. I mean, I don't hear about them offering him. I don't hear about anyone asking for him, which is weird because we had a very bad quarterback draft this year. You would have thought his name would have gotten mentioned, The way, even think about the way guys like Tyrod Taylor just get picked up immediately. And again, obviously totally different scenarios, but certain teams that are grabbing, look at the backup quarterback situations right now. Look at some of the starters, Why wouldn't this guy be worth a shot, considering his athletic abilities, arm strength, potential, and what you haven't seen from him, as opposed to even Baker, I feel like this was more of something that was worth a shot. And no one took a chance on it. But again, you can see some talent in him in the game. And again, he still just needs to play. And I think one of the interceptions, I think the receiver could have worked with him a little better. But again, just working on his anticipation and being on time, which is obviously most young quarterbacks, you just got to play.
And that's the crazy part about it is that even though he got there before Trey, he's behind Trey in development. Just because of not having played, honestly, it's just that simple. And the good thing, I think, the good thing is if you kind of flip flop it. If you look at how San Francisco treated Trey, and obviously Trey, because there's not Aaron in front of Trey, we knew it was a matter of time, right? But for Jordan, it's similar offenses you're running, and we see that they're kind of gonna. We assume, I can't say we see. We assume that they're gonna be more into the rest of the people that run that offense, which is more committed to the run. If and when Jordan gets his shot, it's not going to be all on him anyways, which I guess would be positive. But yeah, man, like you said, it is weird that nobody wanted just here's a second rounder. Let me get your highly, you're very talented young quarterback, and let's see what happens. No, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's another thought I had was Carolina gave up the picks, a third next year, or whatever, something next year to go up and get Corral. And it's like, how much more would it have been for Love? You know what I mean? And
Probably less, honestly.
right, that was just a thought I had, and you don't even hear about any of that. But teams are moving around for draft capital just to get a name. When this is a first round pick. I'm assuming other people we know Flores had him as a first round pick. So maybe someone else did too. But I guess I don't know. We don't know what the words are behind the scenes, but just interested. No one thought about that. Panthers Commanders. I saw, unfortunately, Gibson had a fumble early, which got Robinson right in there, which is kind of like, sounds like what the coach wants anyway. He's on that weird, him and Miles Sanders, they're on that weird rope of talented guys who the coaches don't have a problem sitting, and especially with Rivera, I think Robinson fits what they think they want.
Yeah, but like it's similar, but like for the wrong reasons, right? Because like Philly says they want to run the ball, but Miles is actually like a capable running back. That just makes no sense. Like with Antonio, I get it because from a running back standpoint, the stuff he doesn't have, he may never get. Brian Robinson has all those things. Like I just think like they drafted. I don't think they did their homework wrong. Like I think they drafted Antonio Gibson to be a weapon. Cool, but I think they tried to have him on the field, so you had him at running back, right? I get it. They got to get a little bit more creative with how they use him. I think it's just that simple. Like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Get more creative. Like, that's the guy that if you wanted to be like, hey, like, how the Jags want Etienne to do all that stuff, Antonio Gibson can do that stuff. That's fine. That's the guy you can do that stuff with, right? This guy, not so much. And I think Antonio's very talented, but I think maybe this helps them use him better. Maybe. Now you have a guy where, like, in case anything happens to you wide receivers, like, that's a guy who would go in the slot and maybe cause some mismatches. You can have him in the backfield together with Robinson. Go raise some, go put stress on defenses. But, look, man, he's not going to be a better running back than the kid out of Bama. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You just got to play to Gibson's strengths. And I think he was a weapon coming out, and they try to, like, you're a running back. Like honestly, like I'm not trying to say they should, but man, if you don't go like maybe go steal some of that wide back crap that San Fran does with Debo, like go do it with Gibson. Just go do it. That might be different ways to do it. Like or how Atlanta uses Kadero Patterson. Use them like that.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing is that's a skill set that kind of fits in the middle of everything they have that can take that offense to another level. You can pound between the tackles of Robinson. You have McKissick as a receiving back, but then you have all that group of young receivers, and now you can throw Gibson in as that middle between the two, which could really playmaker type to take that offense to another level. But I mean, first I guess they got to get to that first level first, but just the group of weapons that they have, it ties together because Robinson gives you that workhorse, and then you can just get Gibson touches in space, which is where he specializes in. He's just a football player. So, he's just an athlete who can make plays, but I think, like you said, they're trying to make him into they're pigeonholing him in this position where he's always going to make those mistakes. Like, he's always going to have issues. He's not always going to hit the hole. He's going to cut outside and try to make a home run when he shouldn't. But there's stuff he can do. You know what I mean? I think that the good touches are the ones that kind of blind people and make them like, oh, but look what he did here, and then the bad ones are the other side. So I think that's where like people like us, well, like myself, I have issues. Us and the staff are on different pages because the staff just see the negative of you put this play in, he's not running it right because he's not doing the running back stuff, and then the rest of us are just like, yeah, but he's one of your best playmakers. Get the ball in his hands. You don't only have so many of them. I think that's the thing they need to figure out before they're all gone. Chiefs Bears. It was good to see my guy Brisker, Quan Brisker. He had a couple of good drives there. He was everywhere, man. He's coverage. Was making plays in the backfield, beating blockers. He's just he should have won in the first round.
Yep.
And for the group of people that are like, man, they shouldn't have. They had to take a receiver there, and now we know why. They had a player that shouldn't have. I think they feel the same way about Gordon. And two players that on their Thursday board, and they made it to their 40s, and they're like, we got to make this. And again, at that point, me. I mean, I'm not sure if he was there. The only player who we'll probably get to later is who they could have took was Pickens, but I don't even know if he was there at that time. So,
I mean, even if he was, I'm gonna be real honest. Like, if you had those two dudes rated that high as day one picks,
right.
defensively, you do what you need to do. Like I'm probably always gonna go that way unless like you had a top 10 pick. Then I'm gonna look at you sideways like, hey guy, what are you doing? But
Right.
in this case, I don't think you had a 1, right? So what are you doing? You got two first round pick. You got 2 first round talents. Go get them. Add to your defense, and you know what that does? It rounds out one side of the ball. Now you go in like it's not like you were going to compete for a championship this year, anyways. Just being completely honest. You're in like year 1 of a rebuild. Finish off one side of the ball with blue chip talent, and then go focus your energy on the other side. That's just what it is. Get Justin coached up this year. Make sure he takes a step, the steps that he wasn't able to take the year before. And that's what's important. Try to protect him as best you can in the process. See what you have out of some of these young journeyman wide receivers, and you go in next year with your full complement of picks, and you fix your offense. Like, I don't understand what's so hard about this. Because next year you can, if whatever's there on the board, and you don't have to go defense offense, because you be like, I got blue chippers last year on defense. You're not better than Brisker. You're not better than Gordon. I'm cool. Like, I'm not mad at that at all. Like, it was good to see Justin make some tough throws, change protections, what have you. Do some quarterbacking because some people thought he couldn't do that, so that was fun to see. Some outstanding catches by his wide receiving core that people don't think exists there. And then the Chiefs, I think they got one. The Karlaftis kid. He's nice. I know the Bears don't have a good offensive line, but if they don't have one, treat them like it, and he did. So that's how you're supposed to carry yourself. So kudos to him.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like that type of player, that workman type guy who just brings his game nonstop, like all the time. Those guys are always going to be good players, especially in the preseason. But in the pros, you might not get 12 sacks because of back ability, but the production of a constant energy guy, 6 sacks, maybe he turns into a Hendrickson type, but you're getting a guy that competes, and that's something that Chiefs don't have. You know what I mean? They've been throwing things around at some athletes, but now they got a guy who's every down you got to block him. You know what I mean? If the offensive linemen, linemen that are better than him are going to get trouble, but he's always going to show up, which is something the Chiefs haven't always done defensively. Offensively for them it was weird to see that running back order. I mean, I know it's not a big deal, but Edward Taylor started, and then second was Pacheco, the rookie from Rutgers that they seem to like a lot. He got in the second, and I think Ronald Jones didn't play till second quarter. I think Kenny might have got him before him, but just to see what their plan is offensively, I think they're trying to make it clear. But I know it sounds like Andy Reid's falling in love with the Rutgers kids, and then I think McKinnon just is the guy that's probably the best. So and then maybe at some point, if Jones, if he keeps the confidence, maybe Jones can be that short yardage goal line finish those type of runs back, which is what they don't have. I think Andy's, they're trying to give everything to Edward Helaire because of the first round value, but I just think Andy's starting to like other guys a little more. So that just be something that's interesting to watch when the season starts. Let's see what the Bears. Actually, the Bears they played a lot of rookies. They actually played offensive tackle, started their offensive tackle a rookie offensive tackle who it seems like they like him pretty. I think it's Braxton Jones. They seem to like him a decent amount. And I think the middle linebacker, the rookie, he had a good game as well. Like a lot of those first round draft picks that they had, they played pretty well, and that's without Kyler Gordon playing, without Bayless Jones playing. So the Bears are building something, and whether we like it or not, they have a plan. Let's see how it works. They have enough weapons offensively. The offensive line's not good, but there are weapons offensively. And defensively, if the rookies play the way they look, you never know. You just never know. The division's not that crazy, and they got some playmakers on defense. You get a good season from Eddie Jackson taking the ball away again. with Brisker doing what he does, and you just never know. Obviously, Roquan Smith needs to be part of it. Colts, Bills. Again, not many Bills guys played because the Bills are kind of, getting themselves ready for the season. But again, having a veteran quarterback, they have Matt Barkley, and Case Keenum allows them to at least get the ball out. Whether these are future coaches, so they're not running, but they know how to get the ball out there. You get to allow some different guys to make plays. And then the Colts. What did I see in the Colts? The Colts had a couple of young pass rushers. I forgot the name, but it was just good to see Matt Ryan in there for a couple drives, and we'll see how they do. They have high hopes for Paris Campbell and Pittman, which if that works out, that changes it because they really haven't been an explosive team. It's been Taylor doing a lot of everything and mixing in a lot of stationary football. But you add in a guy like Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman, it allows a chance to add some explosive plays to that offense, which we haven't seen.
I think that's the thing, and not to knock Paris Campbell. I'm sure they would love for him to come along. I'm more intrigued and interested in Pierce, honestly. I think that's the thing that could make it more explosive. Like Paris Campbell, we know, yes, you're explosive. Look at you, we know you're explosive. What you can do with Pierce down the field on every level, and because of his size, I think goes a big way. Because you got two dudes who can play box out. That could be box out type dudes at times if you need them, and Pittman and Pierce. But with Pierce, you have the ability to stretch the field, which I thoroughly love. And you think about the catch radius of both of those guys. For a veteran quarterback, it's going to be wonderful for me. I think they're going to be explosive, and I think obviously, if Campbell does what he needs to do, for sure. But I think Pierce is what takes him over the top in terms of how explosive they can be, because it's one thing throwing downfield to someone who's explosive, even if they're small. It's a little different. Somebody with that type of size or that frame to use, yeah, you're more apt to do it. And honestly, they got a little bit, you got more room to miss. Different ways you get the back shoulder stuff going. Yeah, I'm excited about that. And then didn't they draft a tight end? Another tight end to go with Mo Alley Cox? I know I'm tripping sometimes, but let me think. Oh yeah, they took a dude from Virginia, Jelani Woods. I know. So you got Jelani Woods and Mo Alley Cox now. Yeah, I definitely think they could be more explosive. Because again, outside of Paris Campbell, think about all them dudes' body types. That's a whole bunch of put it on the top shelf. Hey, look, get to the sticks, turn around. Let me put it right here. Think about what it looks like, how many red zone targets that is. Yeah, I think that offense could be better just by improving the quarterback play, which I think they did just by adding someone who's been around to see a lot.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Just again, just seeing with them, you want to know who the starters are and just see that unit, all those units together. I don't know what it's going to look like when Leonard comes back. And then offensively, like you said, the weapons are there. Just how they put it together. Like I was saying, a guy like Paris Campbell, those other guys. They're the keys in the offense. He's the guy that if we can sprinkle him in and give them the occasional big play that offense is lacking, whether it's more after catch stuff, if that works for him. And again, like you said, Pierce and Pittman, that gives them two big guys outside who can actually get open. Not just contest the catch guys. They can do a little more than that also. Seahawks, Steelers. Seahawks. I mean, I don't know what to think of the Drew Lock second half, but I mean, we kill him when he doesn't play well. It was against all backups, but I mean, he looked good in the second half for what it's worth. Steelers, all three quarterbacks played pretty well. First drive by Mitch was actually pretty impressive for me. And even funny, the second drive had a good drive going, and I think it was the thing that hit me that separates guys like him from that next tier. There's always a throw to keep a drive going that they miss. He moved in the pocket, had an open guy, and just missed him. And it's that's the only difference. It's just he made other big throws, big runs along the way, but it's to stay on the field. You got to make the play to stay on the field, and that's how you lose games. he hits that pass, they get a first down out of the field goal range. They might not try to go for a touchdown, but instead they got a punt. And it sounds dumb, but you see it so often on Sundays. It's just one play here and there that separates the bigger name guys from the other guy. Like a guy like Stafford, who can play bad sometimes, but sometimes at crunch time, he made some of the biggest throws, last year at crunch time, which it erases all the mistakes he made. So a guy like Trubisky, he had some good drives, had a good drive, and had a second one working until he missed the throw on third down. What's his face? The backup guy, which I hope doesn't get the job because I hate watching him. Oklahoma State kid. What's his name? Mason Rudolph. So again, he played well. I think in their lineup, whoever gets to play with Pickens is the cheat code because they know they can just throw it up at any point. And Mason actually was the one that got to play with him, so he made a nice rainbow throw. And again, Pickens made a great job by being late with his hands and kind of nudging the DB to make the throw look better than it really was. Again, Pickens. The thing with Pickens is, man, it's just you can't put it into words. Okay, there's a lot of body types that come out like that, and we're like, oh, that looks like a pro. That's what pros look like. But the way he plays, it just transitions easy. You can see it, like when we watch it, you can see that in the pros. And he's always going to make plays. I'm not saying he's going to win every route, but he's always going to make plays. And that's what the thought for me watching it was just. I mean, obviously, I know there were some character concerns, whatever. I don't know any of that stuff. But you plug him in. There's no other receiver in this class who you plug in any lineup, and it elevates your receiver group automatically. Like, I look at a team like, whatever, just say the Bears, okay? If I put him at the top of that receiver group next to Mooney and Komet and other guys they signed, that's a legit receiving group because I know what I have. I take him and I put him almost anywhere. Even Pittsburgh, who's already a loaded receiver group, it don't look the same now because we're like, well, how are you going to guard Claypool as number 3? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Pickens just automatically just does that to any lineup he goes. I mean, if he was on Dallas, like, it's just what he does is he gives you that weird number 1 vibe. Like he's going to make his plays, whether he's the 1 or the 2, he's so good, you're not designing plays for him, which is one of the things we talked about is no matter what you do with him, he's going to make his plays, which there's not a lot of guys like that. Because you look at the rest of that receiver class, we could see a million ways why they could fail, each one of them. Okay, this guy might not work because this. Oh, well, like Chris Olave, Michael Thomas is back. Or this guy, it's like, well, now they got a scheme for him. You can put Pickens backside and just give him whatever route's there. And if it's one-on-one, he can win. If it's zone, he can win. His hands are ridiculous. He's better after the catch than you think. Like, there's nothing that's going to stop him. No matter where you throw him in, he's going to find a way on the field. Which some of these other guys don't have. And he's the sure thing. I'm not saying, and again, his only concern really is what he got in a fight on the field. Like, I don't, like his concerns coming out of college weren't things that were like extreme injury, and he got in a fight. So, like, other than that, we don't really have this insane character concerns, which, depending on where you are, some coaches like when you fight. So, I mean, like, I don't know. It's like, I don't really see anything about him that says that he won't work besides if it's off field. Because on the field, there's nothing he can't do. He can fit anywhere. Even with these quarterbacks they have, he's already a guy they trust. And adding that to the way his skill set fits next to Deontay Johnson, and then you just add Claypool and you add in Austin. These quarterbacks don't have to be special. You got a guy who can win. I don't know. It's really interesting to see what Pittsburgh does because I know we're trying to say their quarterbacks don't match up to the rest of the division, but they don't have to.
No.
Because, that receiving group, I'm not saying it's on the level of Cincinnati, but it can do a lot of similar things, win in different ways, but they can all win, and that's interesting. It's an interesting thing to do.
This is the thing. I think people thought too much here for no good reason. It was just injuries. It was really just injuries, and we've seen worse players get drafted with injury concerns. So I just think people thought too much, and it's going to cost some of them. Because like you said, he's one of those guys where wherever he goes, the room shifts around him. It's not him fitting in. Like, he's going to be him. And again, no one has any question from a football perspective. Or if you do, I don't know how you got there. I'm trying to figure out how you got there, but And kudos to you. Just please show your work because I'm probably not going to agree. Like for example, him and Justin Ross, it was just injuries. That's it. To both, and it was just a matter of Jordan's weren't to the extremes as Justin's were. That's it. But both of them hit college, and both of them made it look like, oh, this is easy. And everyone was like, oh, man, I can't wait to see him in the next level midway through their freshman years. And then both never really got back to being healthy again. George came back, though, at least. So, he's in a better place than Justin. And his injuries weren't as scary as Ross's were. But, my whole thing is, someone like that, if you had an extra first round pick, I don't even call that a waste. Like, that's a great bet because it's just if he plays. Like, I'm not literally concerned about, oh man, we get, if he gets a little stronger. Nah, it's just, can you be available? You know what I'm saying? So that's a totally different discussion. And there's like teams that don't have like number ones. We're gonna revisit this draft and wonder what you did and why. Honestly, like, because Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
No. Even KC and Green Bay, like as much as we love what they did, maybe not even in the first. Because the thing about these teams was you had the second round pick. Like Green Bay moved up to take Christian Watson on day 2. They could have still took the 2 defenders they took and moved up. They moved up day 2 and took Watson. And I don't know. The Giants took Wan'Dale Robinson. Like, I don't know. It's a weird because same thing with Alex Pierce to a degree. He went. A lot of receivers went. I think he went 60 something. So that number 1 build, like the prototype number 1 with athletic ability and good footwork, and I don't know what made people push these guys down the board, especially a guy like Pickens, because like you were saying, you look at guys that come in for the big conferences on the biggest stage as freshmen and step right in. Pickens did it. Surtain did it. Stingley did it. Those guys that came in day 1 to the big programs and were stars from day 1. There's something about that kind of player that the light's never going to be too big for him. And I think that's what Pickens is. He walked into that camp with no fear and just took over from day 1.
Look, I'm going to be real honest. There were almost 2 first rounds in this past draft. And some teams messed up. Like, again, like you said with Green Bay. You imagine them with Pickens, that's a whole different discussion. No disrespect to Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs. It's a different. We're talking about, it's one of those. It would have been one of those things where it's like, yeah, we lost Devontae, but look at the next guy that we got. Like, we saw the Vikings go from Stephon to Justin. Like, we know Justin isn't Stephon. However, that kid put himself in a position where he's not that far away that quick. So again, you could have had the gap where it was like this instead of like this. In Green Bay, the gap's like this. Losing Devontae to what you have now, it's like that. Where Pickens would have gave you a chance where it was a smaller gap. And that's Pickens with Aaron. We know where Aaron would have got everything out of that kid. Versus where you're in Pittsburgh was like, oh, well, maybe the quarterbacks. This dude honestly might be the guy that helps Mitch get his career back on track.
Right.
Not even trying to be funny. But again, like, going back to that second round, right? I'm going to just say some names of guys that ended up in the second round, and you tell me why they weren't in the first. I think Roger McCreary's going to be one of those dudes. Jalen Petre. You mentioned Kyler Gordon. Boye Mafe already looks like it was worth it, right? Andrew Booth. Kenneth Walker. Wandale's looking good already. Fedarian Mathis for Washington. Looks like he's going to be that guy starting in the middle of that defense for quite a while. You're going to circle, like, it doesn't matter, like, where you move John Allen to or whatever, you paid him, that's great, but that's going to be the guy that eats the double teams. He's going to be right there for them for the entirety of that contract and maybe longer. You're already getting, like, return on that investment. You talked about Brisker. Man, there's a world where if Brisker pans out, you can trade Eddie Jackson and figure out what you want to do in case you want to. You don't have to. If not, you got a heck of a safety pairing, right? And Brisker's shown us just that quick. Like, he's a player. I know it's just preseason, but the guys that look like they're supposed to be there, they show you that quick, you're comfortable with, right? So pretty much, I guess I'm just saying guys that flashed already. Tyquan Thornton. We've seen Cam Jurgens already. You mentioned Pickens and Pierce. Pickens and Pierce went right before Sky Moore. And keep in mind, Kansas City, if they stayed at 50, would have had their pick of all of those guys because they traded with New England, and New England took Tyquan. But KC had the 50th pick. So they would have had an opportunity to choose between Tyquan, Pickens, Pierce, Moore, whoever. But they end up with Moore. Who else is over there? Drake Jackson went late. James Cook, who's flashing in Buffalo, went near the end of the second round. Like, this is definitely one of those drafts where we revisit what the decisions that people made in the first couple rounds, especially in the second round, because again, there's multiple guys that went in the second round who are better than some of the guys at the same position that got drafted in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even just to go with that, like I know, I did a mock. I had Minnesota taking Booth in the first round. They got him in the second round. You know what I mean? Yep. And everything I heard from camp is he's been balling out. You know, I haven't watched the game, but every day you hear about Booth making a play. Same with, you know, there's a lot of guys, a lot of talent that went in that second round. Where did Sam Williams go before or after Pickens?
Sam Williams went after Pickens. So Dallas picked 56. Pickens went 52 to Pittsburgh.
I can't blame Jerry now.
No, you can't. You can't. Because he was gone. Well, no, technically you can, because did that second round pick from Philly come from y'all?
I think it's old.
Okay. But yeah, like look at that group. And then even Baltimore, David Ojabo went in the second round. He's in that group.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, that second round is crazy.
Hey.
But again, just saying, we're gonna be revisiting this soon.
Also, they have. I saw a stat: Steelers linebackers got beat for eight for 8 completion. So their linebackers need some work. I guess besides Miles Jackson, the only one standing out. Evan Bush is he's coming back from injury still. So hopefully he'll get right. And even then, having Miles Jack there, and they said he looks just like the player that he was. It's funny how these guys end up in Jacksonville, and we think they lost it at 25, you know, and then they leave and are back to the player they were. You know, you don't go from that type of
magic.
These are world class, like guys like Miles Jack. These aren't like average athletes. These are guys that, you know, he played running back in college, in college with linebacker. So we're talking world class athletes who can do everything. And you put them into a winning atmosphere where, you know, when you know the goal is to lose, you can say you're giving 100%. But it's still that part of you that's protecting your legs. You know, and again, you get them here, and you might get off Postseason. Who knows what you get? But with something to prove as well with that coaching staff, he could go crazy. You know, so that'll be interesting to watch. It'd be in that cornerback room that they have. See what happens with. I think right now they have Levi and Witherspoon actually competing for the spot opposite Cam Sutton. I guess Cam Sutton's the guy right now. But even if they end up playing all three together and bumping Sutton inside, I think Levi's a gamer, so you're not going to get practice reps when you're watching him and you're like, this guy's amazing. You know, I just think once he gets on the field, he's not coming off. And same with Witherspoon, his game is kind of, you know, that one-on-one stuff, he's probably perfect for, you know, the matchup type stuff. And that's his footwork and length and things like that. I just think he found his home last year. He was playing good football for the end of last year for them, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Seattle was seeing Kenny Walker. I think he's gonna be a good back. You know, I don't think he's special, but I just think he fits with what they do. You know, he kind of looks like plays a little bit like Penny. You know, I mean, Penny actually showed some home run ability last year, but Walker's just going to be above average, serviceable guy who, you know, just allows him to keep moving the chains. Dolphins, Bucks. Not many. Most of the main Dolphins guys didn't play. It was good to see. Was the rookie Skylar Moore got the full game? Not Skylar Moore. What's his last name? Skylar.
So with the Dolphins, Thompson. Yeah.
So he played a full game, and was good to see McDaniel running a lot of the Dolphin stuff, and it's funny to see the way they were able to be that efficient with the third string quarterback, who was the 7th round pick, and none of the main receivers, and they moved the ball anyway. And that's impressive from a coach who's a younger guy who you wonder how he fit because he just kind of looks. Obviously he didn't play much. He hasn't played any football in his life, but he just to see how that locker room responds to him. As of now, it seems like they love him, and he froze the kicker at the end of the game, and it actually worked. So it's little dumb things like that, but you can see him winning that locker room over, already. And they got a turnover. They took a double move to Lynn Bowden. Perfect call. Which I guess the Miami fans aren't used to that. The team taking a shot and getting throwing a deep ball and things like that. But
they better get used to it.
So they're gonna be fun to watch. I think they're gonna be really good. Even just hearing about the practices that last day where they destroyed Tampa. I know supposedly it means nothing, but to that team it does. That team wants to believe in that quarterback, and more importantly, I think they want to see the quarterback believe in himself, and I think that's the kind of thing he's giving them, which is going to allow them to carry himself differently, and the team to carry itself differently. Tyreek's been already worked his weight in gold already, despite not playing a game yet, because of what he brings to that team, that swagger. Even just what he's going to do to Xavier Howard. You could see the way him and Howard talk, where now Howard he's going to view himself as that type of player. I'm in the corner, and battling Tyreek every day only helps. I don't know, did you hear what Carlton Davis said after one of the practices? He's just like, there's no one like Waddle and Hill.
Yeah.
And this isn't a bad corner. Like, this is a guy who just got paid as a number one corner for that team.
But you got to think about it, though. Like, and no disrespect to him, bro, if you don't have the speed to deal with them dudes, you're already down you're down so bad it doesn't matter. You can take your technique and throw it out the window. That is not regular speed. That is I'm laughing at you before I hit the gear. There was one of them passes Tyreek caught in practice. I felt bad for the safety. Safety came over the top like, yo, doing my job. He was running with him, and I swear I saw when Tyreek shifted into the other gear, and the safety was like, yep, I'm out of the play, and started pulling up. Right. Like the other thing we saw, it looks like someone mentioned it, that's there on the ground there. They got Tua throwing the spots, and them dudes are so damn fast. You can throw to the spot, and they're coming out of nowhere and catching the ball.
Right.
And that's one of the things where, going back to something I see on this side, where I'm used to is not to throw to the spot, but they teach accelerating through the catch point at 3,000 miles an hour. Now, if they're teaching that to people who aren't that fast, yes, you have to throw to a spot for people who are that fast. And that's the thing. Like, for those dudes, they're that freaking fast. All right, so on this play, this is the spot the ball needs to be delivered at. But, coach, I don't see him yet. Don't worry about that. This is the spot. The confidence it gives you where, oh, yeah, the defense doesn't know it, but here's Waddle. Here's Hill. People are like, oh, man, he threw in a triple coverage. It wasn't triple coverage. Just Tyreek wasn't there yet. And then Tyreek was, and then it wasn't triple coverage anymore. He was by himself. Like, nah, those dudes are going to raise hell. Like, just being honest, they're going to. And you think about all the misdirection that's in that offense and everything else. And then now when you take shots, you're taking shots with two of the fastest dudes in the league. Those aren't even regular shot plays. You think about the room for error you have on those shot plays, how early you can let the ball out your hand. You don't have to wait to make sure they're open, or is he even? Nah, man, even if he's not even, he won. Just throw it out there. Yeah, they're going to be fun. And I think Tyreek brings, it's a little bit different. So Debo brings it by setting the tone physically. I think what Tyreek brings to the table is just that confidence. He's going to be their tone setter. It just won't be done physically. I think Tyreek's maybe just more vocal with it, but yeah, you can see the effect it has. You get one of those guys like that where, those primetime playmakers, yeah, that's infectious. Because like you said, if you're a corner, I got one of the toughest dudes to guard in the league telling me I'm like that. Yeah, I'm going to feel like that because guess who I don't have to guard every week? My teammate.
Right.
I don't ever have to guard Tyreek Hill if you're a member of the secondary on the Dolphins. I got to deal with that. Practice is always going to be tougher. I never have to see somebody like you on the other side. So, I mean, yeah, they should be fun, man. I really think they're going to be fun. Oh, with Seattle, I want to give credit to their the rooks they had on offensive line. Cross and the other dude, I forgot dude's name, the other dude. But I thought they were solid.
Lucas.
Thank you. So, Cross and Lucas, I thought they were solid. Like, we see them trying to get back. It's so funny. We see them trying to get back to what they were before they, became this past iteration of Seattle with Russ and LOB trying to get. Not that they're building LOB again, but in terms of being a team that can run the ball and play defense. We see them trying to get back to that, and we're seeing that happen. My guy Dab said Tyreek's presence alone will create endless space for the Dolphins. Yeah, I mean, him and Waddle, just speed is speed. Like, speed kills, and that type of speed is different.
Right. Well, it's like you're saying, that threat of speed, like that threat of the speed opens up windows that you don't even think about. And I think that's where a lot of the talk of Tua doesn't throw the deep ball, or like your definition of deep ball is, I mean, how many guys beside Moss were just putting their head down and running by people? It's when you catch that thing on the run, that's just as dangerous. And the way these guys are shooting through them zones, that's where you split a defense and catch a guy flat-footed. That's at that speed. And them guys, when they get the ball in their hand, it's just they're faster. When they're chasing the ball, they're faster. Like, your speed, you don't even know. Like, he runs the 4.2, but if you throw the ball to a point where he has to go 4.1, he probably could. Especially if he's moving.
And that's the luxury that they have that the defense doesn't. So even if defense, where technically you're accounting for it, if that safety's leverage is a little bit off and your guy, they don't. Like, they're watching it on tape. Like, this is the leverage you take. You should be fine. And Tyreek or Waddle comes through that thing, like as Justin said, they're coming at Mach 3. It doesn't. Your leverage is out the window, dude. Because if you're a safety, you're at 4.5, 4.4. They're moving at 4.1. It's irrelevant. It just doesn't matter. They're breaking sound barriers, and you just gotta hope that the throw's off. And that's the other thing is, like, people always think throwing deep means the ball got to be in the air for 50 yards. No, it doesn't. If them dudes win early in the route, let it go. Let it go. If it's a 90-yard touchdown, the ball was only in the air for 25, that means your wide receiver is like that, okay? They're like that. You don't have to have the big arm. But if you do have a big arm, yeah, then you can 2 seconds into the route, you can just hang that thing up there and they can go get it like it's a luxury. And especially in that offense, those windows are going to be exponentially larger because of the threat of them dudes' speed. Gesicki's going to enjoy the hell out of his new life. Like, really. He's going to have all the speed in the world. Seam's just going to be free. Middle of the field should just be open. Like, you think about even like some of the little misdirection plays where Tyreek or Waddle's going to sift back through the opposite direction. Yeah, it's a 5-yard pass, but them dudes, that could turn into 60 at any time. So now every play action has your defense reacting to it. The little ghost motions. So one could be going into motion to open a shot up for the other who's not. Like, they should be fine, man. Like, again, got every reason to be excited about it, man.
Yeah, definitely. Who else? I seen Rashad White. Rashad White. I like Rashad White. I think he's going to be a good player. And even just the stuff he can do in the passing game is different than Leonard. It's just, he actually can. It's not just flares. He can actually run routes. And he's big enough to actually handle the ball in traffic if you want to run him. And run him between the tackles. Like, has that kind of size and speed ability. But as a route runner, he actually can really get open, which is something Brady lived off of in New England. So having a guy who can actually do that, it's cool. He probably just got to prove that he can hold up the pass pro. Just so that they can trust him. I think that's what's going to keep Fournette on the field over him. But what he can do in the pass game as a route runner, I think, just adds to that offense. Which, I mean, they've got a ton of weapons anyway, but easy completions, you can't turn those down.
No, I think Fournette's on borrowed time anyways. Like, that's the insurance policy. Like, it's a transition. It's up to White in terms of how quickly that happens, honestly. Because, like you said, you can do the Fournette stuff, and there's a plus that you have on it that he doesn't.
Right.
It's not just swing passes, like you said. And who in the world at quarterback do we know loves backs that can do, like, that type of stuff. Like Rachaad White is like a mix. He brings you some of Leonard Fournette, some of the James White stuff. He's like the perfect running back for Tom Brady. Like legit. You don't have to have it. It doesn't have to be separate dudes. You can have it all in one. So yeah, I expect as the year goes on, like they should be a nice 1-2 punch, or we could see at some point that he kind of, hey Lenny, thanks for everything. Let me get those snaps. But we'll see. But yeah, I think it was a productive first week. We'll see how things go. Obviously, there's gonna be a bunch of teams that we don't see their starters at preseason at all. Especially the teams where the some units been together for a while. We don't need to see y'all.
Right.
Yeah. Get your bodies healthy. Get ready for a 17-game regular season. We need to see y'all at all. Honestly.
You know what? If you're a Dallas fan, feel free to know that even though your starters didn't play, that Denver kicks your butt in practice for 2 days too. So, the dress rehearsal practices, which are probably more important than the actual game. Mm-hmm. Someone actually posted the whole video, so I watched that. And Denver dominated them on the field too. So, your starters would have lost as well.
See, and that's one of those things where I was saying last week. I'm excited about is I don't expect to see any starters in the Niners Vikings preseason game this week because they got joint practice. They got the joint practice. They got the Wednesday and Thursday this week. I don't expect any big name player for either team. Even some of the top young ones won't be on that field on for a preseason game. Like, it is what it is. This is going to be end of the roster guys. Like, they're going to get some great work in, and that's that. And like you said, that's what happened with Denver and Dallas. Like, why would Russ play? He saw your starters in practice. We saw Denver's defense harass Dallas's offense in practice. Like, they need to.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll see, man. Did you have anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'll go the Texans, Damian Pierce.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like he's going to be the guy over there. Again, he was good in college, just at the wrong team. He played for Florida. He'd have big carries and then somehow end up with 7 carries a game, but 7 for 75 yards. But they wouldn't stick with the run game. So that
sounds about right.
Yeah, that's bad coaching. Also, you got, we knocked him last week, but Trevor Penning played a good game for Saints.
Yeah, I saw that. I keep seeing that.
He didn't fight anybody. So gotta give him that, because we definitely knock him when he's doing something stupid. So gotta give him.
That's fair. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying he played a good clean game. So I mean, that's what you want to see, especially if you spend a pick that high on a tackle. Like, yes, come in here, play clean, be good at your job. Don't give up pressures, what have you, especially in preseason. And kudos to him, like you said, we're gonna give him, when he's acting like a jerk, we got to give him credit when he does right. So kudos to Trevor Penning.
Right. We also got Seth Williams on the Broncos, had a good game. It looks like he might actually have a role with Tim Patrick being out. Similar, played at Auburn, big body, contested catch guy who can run a little bit. So I mean, this might be his second chance, with being able to slide in that role. He had made some big catches against Dallas. What else we had? Rams Chargers. I didn't get much of that game. Bryce Perkins, that quarterback, played. I think he played the full game. Played a good game. It shows that he might be able to take that number 2 job from was it Wofford, John Wolford. But just to see another quarterback that actually can spread the ball around and he can move a little bit too. So kind of looks like one of the Ravens guys. But to see him hang out in the league, that'd be good to see. And then Vikings Raiders, I watched some of that yesterday. It's weird to see how I guess Stidham looks pretty good over on the Raiders. Not saying it's anything special, but just being the guy that knows the offense. That came with McDaniel and even the third string guy. I think was it Mullins maybe. Just brought in a bunch.
Oh yeah, they got Nick Mullins. Yeah.
A bunch of guys that look like Carr. Just a bunch of okay, throw the ball a little bit. All 3 can stand next to each other, look similar. But again, they run that offense, and the Raiders. Again, you don't judge off preseason, but they look like a team that's ready to go. Whatever he's doing, they look confident.
There's what he instilled, which is kind of sad. You can take them serious now. That's what he's brought over there. You know what I'm saying? Like they're credible. They're credible now. Like you don't look at them with like, ah, man, they just playing. They about to do something stupid. They're like, before they were just unserious. Him being there officially makes them credible, and you take them seriously. They present themselves as such now. They look like a well-coached, disciplined team, and he just got there. Like they look like a buttoned-up organization just by switching coaches.
Right. Good point. Yeah. Last one I say is Kellen Mond actually played pretty well. You know, they're gonna show that one pass where he missed the receiver, but he was running for his life. But he had 9 for 14, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. You just want to see him grow. You know, he's behind us, the guy who just pitched in starter. Why not just teach the kid, like, work with him, whatever you need to work with him, and see if he's ready by the end of the season. You know, like, it's a project, but there is talent there. And then there's a running. When I was watching the game, there was a running back. I felt number 26. I'm not even gonna pretend to say his name. Kenny Nwangu. But I'm looking at his stats now, but it wasn't even about the stats. It was just the way he was moving on the field. He was moving at a different level than everyone else. You know, and him and Ty Chandler from Tennessee, but 26. He looked really good out there, man. And I think, I'm pretty sure he got some carries last year during the season for Minnesota, but he looked legit out there yesterday. So just again, when I watch a player and he pops off the tape like that, it makes me just like, I'm taking note of the name.
Nah, for sure. Again, that was just week 1 of preseason. You know, we'll check in with you guys tomorrow. We'll figure out what's on the docket then. So we'll be checking in, as always, again, like I said at the top of the show. Some of these mornings we'll be talking about WNBA Playoffs games that have happened the night before. I think the first morning when we'll be talking about that will be Thursday, because people play on the first set of games is on Wednesday. So again, Wednesday night we got Aces and Mercury, and then Chicago Sky hosting New York Liberty. Thursday, Seattle hosting Washington, and then Connecticut hosting Dallas. And then Jess and I will talk with you guys about, you know, just whatever happens in the NFL. Cuts are coming. Cuts started this week. I think the first round starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Where, you know, some teams already cut them, but I think it goes from 90 to 85, and then, you know, start whittling down between then. But thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow mornings right here with The Focus.